All right, perfect. So let's get the screens shared. Okay, so you can all see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so the first thing is that I pushed the individual presentation due dates back. So originally they were going to be due at the end of this month and at the end of October, but we all need a little bit more time. So they'll be the first week of November instead. And again, if we need more time after that, if it's just not enough presentation slots, then we can schedule out for a couple of days in the following week after that too. The early birds are also there. And I changed the way that we're selecting our slots. So I don't know if you noticed where I went here, right at the top in notices. I had put out a notice earlier this week about the presentations getting pushed back for the due date, just to give you some extra breathing room with that, and the Calendly to get your schedule together. So let's take a look at that real quick. So I just scheduled out for 15-minute time slots. It shouldn't take you 15 minutes, right? It's a 2 to 4 minute presentation, but the 15 minutes is just in case there's any tech issues, if you have to adjust something, all kinds of things are happening, right? And also because you're turning in your, like all of the pieces for your presentation at the time of your presentation, that's when it's due. So whenever you schedule your presentation, that's your due date, that's your due time. So if you want to send it to me earlier in the day, you can do that. Or you can just wait until you're actually ready to go. That's fine too. Any questions on that?
No questions.
Okay, cool. So the way that you're going to send me your stuff is you're just going to send it to me in a message. So if you go up here to your chat, keep moving it because the little face boxes are in the way over here. You're going to go to private chat room. Really, I use Band for multiple things. You'll find me, right? I'm just going to I'll use Aaliyah as an example here. And you can attach files right here. So you're just going to send it to me so that way I can have it in front of me while you're doing your presentation. Okay, does that make sense? So you're just going to attach
Oh,
files the
we
same way.
couldn't see them. The little pop-ups.
Your screen like blocks it out.
This is the chat box. You can't see the chat box?
No.
Okay, all right, good to know, thank you. So let me, advanced sharing option. No, that's not what I need. Share my whole desktop. How's that?
Now we can see them.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. So in the chat box, right, you can add files right here. So you're just gonna send me your stuff so that I can have it in front of me during your presentation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Was there anything else I needed to go over from this notice here? I don't think so. Okay, so let's go to the calendar. So on the calendar, you can see that I pushed the early birds back. So I don't think that there's going to be that many people that are going to be in an overflow. And I think that there's going to be more people who are signing up for the early birds, especially since they are the week of the original due date. So there's definitely enough slots here. So, but if you want to do the early bird ones, you have to go to the early bird Calendly. It's not connected to the other one. The reason is because this one is extra credit. And if it's mixed in with the other ones, it's going to be too much for me to have to sift through at that point. So, especially if I don't end up having enough time to grade everything that same day, which is my goal right now. So for those ones, you'll have the time slots here. Same thing, same 15-minute time slots. and it's 20 extra credit points. It was originally 30, but I'm reserving 30 for the folks who had signed up for the early ones originally, because of, just out of fairness. So I just dropped it down to 20. But as you can see with the way that the points are, you really probably won't need a whole lot of extra credit by the time we get to the end of the semester, right? Especially if you're engaging in dialogues regularly, which I'll talk more about that when we get into, when I do the next segment here. Okay. Life in the hood. I love it. Man. You hear us? Look at this. Okay. So we've got the early birds here, and for some reason, Calendly would not let me schedule on Monday. I did everything that I could to try to bypass it, and it just would not give me Monday dates. I think it's something to do with my regular calendar, because I have my day blocked off on this Monday, on the 1st, but not in any way that's different from the way I have it blocked off on this Tuesday, and it let me do Tuesday. So I'm taking the sign that maybe I'm gonna need this extra time on this Monday, and so we're not doing any presentations on this Monday. So again, if we need more time beyond this week, then we'll just schedule it out after that. Any other questions on this so far?
No questions.
Okay, great. All right, so let's go to attachments. I'm gonna take all of these out of here so you won't have to worry about looking at all of this. This is all older stuff, but I usually try to leave it up just for a little bit so that y'all have reference points so you can go back and look at what other people have done. How is my, it's an external hard drive, it's not full. Okay, let me go find them in my drive then. This is another thing I've been trying to deal with. I need to clear some space out in my laptop. Everything is full because I've got so like massive music files on here, so it's, yeah. Okay. 205. Individual presentation instructions. There we go. Hold on, I thought I saw, okay. Oh, there it is, participants. I was just making sure I didn't miss anybody else who was coming in. Okay. All right, so the instructions are the same as they were from last year. They're very, very, very slight difference just in that, so I'm giving you the, sorry, let me share this with you. I'm putting the link in the chat box for you right now. Very, very slight variation in the instructions, but for the most part, the crux of everything is staying the same. Really, the only thing that's changing is I need a copy of your current school schedule. For when I'm showing this as a project to the department, it just helps solidify like the purpose in it, right? Because the purpose in it is for it to use hip hop as a tool, right? So you're using it as a study guide for a class that you're currently in that's not this class. And so having that just kind of serves as some extra support, right? Sort of like a reference. All right, so you should have that in the chat now. And let's take a look at this. So you're making a 2 to 4 minute wrap that is a study guide for another class, okay? Does that concept make sense to you?
Yes.
Is there anybody that wants more clarification about what that means or what that is?
Do we have to talk about the class
No,
or?
no, you don't have to do anything else special. You're just using the material to create a rap so that you can study the material better.
So like if it was about math and like just say addition, we would just make a rap about like adding.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So like, what are the ways that you can add things, right? What are you learning in that class? If you're learning like a specific set of tables, right? If you're learning like the tens tables, you know,
So
or like
kind of
time,
like
you can
rapping
do
about
that.
a topic?
Say again?
It's kind of like rapping about a topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the like for showing you what classes we're taking, could we just take a screenshot of our Blackboard or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. You can take a screenshot of your Blackboard. You can look at your unofficial transcripts. On your MyCSUDH, you should have a list of like currently enrolled classes. You can take a screenshot of that. That's fine. However you want to do that is fine. Just make sure that it has the semester on it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions on this piece here?
Does it have to be like good, like a good like rap?
No, no, it does not. It does not have to be. We're not looking for anything Grammy level. Like this is a fun creative project. So
Okay.
I'm not grading you on how well you can rap. Like that's not the point in this at all.
All right. I
Right?
was gonna say I might have to like ask Drake or something for some help.
Oh my God, that's probably the worst person you could ask. Don't ask him for help with rapping.
Maybe Kendrick, probably. Kendrick Lamar.
That's better. That's better. That's way better. But no, this is not a project that I'm really concerned about your rapping skills, right? I mean, if you think about the early days in hip hop, what rap sounded like in early hip hop, it sounded pretty elementary, right? It's not like the lyrical geniuses that we see now, you know. It's not like the really upfront political messages that were coming out in the 90s, right? Early hip hop was pretty elementary, right? It was very rhythmic, right? It was very simple. And that made it easier to learn faster. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It made it more interactive, right? So you could go into any room with a brand new rap and have everybody singing it with you before the song is over because it's so simple. That's what you're trying to get at here. So you can use anything that you want. You can use, a popular song if you want to. You can create your own beats, however you want to do that, right? But make it useful as a study guide. So you don't want to try to make it too complex with your lyrics, right? You don't want to be, you definitely don't want to be the Kendrick. So maybe you do want Drake on this one. He's not like.
Yeah. Well, so it doesn't matter how like long the lyrics are so much as we could fit it in the 2 to 4 minutes.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so think about this, right? Because I want 2 minutes of content. So if you have a 2-minute song, you may not have 2 minutes of content, right? So if you have a 15-second intro and a 15-second outro, right? Well, there's 30 seconds of content missing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea is for you to be studying, right? Rapping, studying for at least 2 minutes at a time. And that should make it easier for you to digest those concepts that you're trying to learn. Because what are you going to be doing with the music? You're going to be repeating it, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Any other questions on this piece here?
No questions.
Okay, great. Okay. So doing a class that you're currently enrolled in. If you don't have a midterm in your classes, just use concepts that you're trying to learn, right? Use concepts that you're trying to study. That could be places, dates, that could be historical events, it could be the periodic table of elements, right? Whatever it is that you're trying to learn in another class, even if you don't have a midterm or a final for it. The midterms and finals are just really useful for this project because you have to do something on those, right? So the more time you put into something that is going towards those midterms or finals, the better your grades are going to come out on those midterms or finals. And so that's why I target those. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, any questions on that?
No, there's no questions.
Okay. All right. In the past, I've let people go a cappella, but historically what I've learned is that it doesn't make a more useful project. If anything, it just becomes busy work. So the more useful the project is to you as a study guide, the better overall result we're both going to get out of it, right? Me being able to demonstrate this to my department as work that I'm doing, right? Then you being able to get better grades out of your other class. So use a beat, right? Again, I don't care what beat you use. If you use a beat that's already out there, you have to cite it. If you're using a beat that you're making yourself, you just have to make a note of that. Question?
Whenever we're presenting for the 15 minutes, is it just going to be us or are like other people going to be in there too?
Everybody's allowed to come. It's just like if you were presenting on campus.
Okay.
So you can also invite people if you want. If you want to, because I've had people do this, they invite their family and their friends to come watch them do their work, right? It's kind of like when you was a kid and you had shows and stuff at school and you wanted your parents to be able to come and see you. You can do that for this project too. It's fun. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on this piece?
No
No.
question.
Okay. Don't use the N-word. Does this make sense now that you've gotten to the N-word week?
Definitely.
Yeah, and I don't know how we would incorporate that to like science.
See what I'm saying? Like there's no purpose behind it. So why are we adding it in this context? So for other raps, right? Of course we can find purpose. Of course we can find context. But as a study tool for a class that you're trying to pass, it doesn't have a purpose, right? And so if you're that pressed to use it, well, find something else then, right? Use this as a space to creatively add an alternative. All right, so I was hoping that it would make more sense after we got through that portion of the semester, so I'm glad. Okay, so this is what you are gonna be turning in terms of your handout. So I want a digital copy of your lyrics. And so what that's gonna do is it's gonna help me hear you better, right? Especially because we're gonna be online. It's gonna let me hear you better. It's gonna allow me to follow along with you better so that you'll get your grades back faster. Does that make sense?
So you want us to, let's say, make a Google Docs
Mhm.
and then just send it to you when we're ready to present? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So on that should be your lyrics and your reference page. Does that make sense?
What is the reference page?
You're getting your study materials from somewhere. So this is practice for you to learn how to write a reference page. So for your papers and other classes, this is going to be a key thing that you have to do. So for here, you don't have to put like in-text references in your lyrics or anything like that. I'm not looking for any of that. I just want a regular reference page. So let's go look at that.
So like a works cited kind of thing?
Yeah, that's another word for it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I also don't care what citation style you use for your references.
So it could be like MLA format or whatever.
Yeah, you can use MLA, you can use APA. All right, so you can, it's a little blurry, but can you kind of see what's going on here?
Yes.
Okay, so everything that you do in your classes is basically citable. So your lectures are all citable. PowerPoint presentations are citable. Videos that you're watching, any supportive documents, the books that you're using, conversations that you're having, discussion boards, all of that is citable. So this is also a tool for you to learn how to be more creative with your citations. It's going to serve you so well when you get to the higher levels because you won't have to struggle so much with finding sources. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So everything that you're already doing in your classes, that's all citable information. So you're getting most of your study points from your classes. So I expect that most of your references are going to be your classes. It's going to be a lecture that you had, or it's going to be a specific resource that you were using in your class. So you're going to use those and create a reference page the same way that you would for articles, right? So you can see here that they're using articles in this. But that's not the only thing that you can use in your reference page. And I think that's where people get confused a lot with that. So again, I don't care what citation style you use, just pick one and make it consistent. The reason that I don't care is because I know that when you go to your major departments, they all have their own preference for what citation style that you use. For example, the English department is probably using MLA. Science departments are more likely to use APA. MLA is the Modern Language Association and APA is the American Psychological Association. So it makes sense, right? It makes sense why they would use which one. Otherwise, I mean, as long as you're giving credit where credit is due, it shouldn't necessarily matter, right? So I don't care what citation style you use, as long as you're giving credit where credit is due. That matters more to me. The other thing is that most of you came up in one citation style. Most of you came up in MLA. So in the K through 12 system, that's usually what's taught. So when you come to college, if this is your first time using APA, this is a good place for you to practice that. Don't just use the citation machines. Most of the time we can tell because you didn't even change the background color when you copied and pasted it. It's still like orange or gray in the background. They don't get everything right all the time. So even when you use those, like you still have to check them. Sometimes they miss punctuations and capitalizations, italicizations, right? They do miss things. So don't just use those. Put in the time. And also don't forget that you have the option of getting extra credit by going to the resources, the resource centers that you already are paying to have access to on campus. You can use them in person or digitally, doesn't matter to me. And they can help you with your reference page, right? So you can also go get extra credit for practicing this skill. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is for, because I've been doing this since I came in, this was mostly for the on-campus experience, but for online, it still makes sense, right? When you're doing a presentation, you should dress for that presentation, right? Well, dressing for this type of presentation is going to be a little different from dressing for, a formal like presentation on the cells of the body or something, right? When people go and they do presentations in their classrooms, they usually do the whole suit and tie thing. Well, be creative. What would you wear as an artist? Like, who are you as an artist, right? And so I like to be able to see that. I like to see who you are as an artist. So dress up for it. It's fun, right? Have some fun. Everybody's stressed out, right? Give yourself every chance to have a little bit of fun that you can find. Make sure that you have your performances scheduled out at least 24 hours in advance, because I want to make sure that everyone has access to it. So I did put I think I put an end date on the signups. I can't recall this right off the top of my head, but either way, please give us at least 24 hours. And again, it's just to make sure that anybody who wants to show up can. Your peers want to be able to support you, so give them the opportunity to do that. Nobody's here to judge anybody. Nobody's here to tear your rap apart. This isn't The Voice, right? This isn't Simon Cowell over here at America's Got Talent with his British ass. telling us how terrible we are, right? Come on, this is not that. What this is a community of people who want to support each other and uplift each other. So let us do that, right? And again, if we were on campus, you would be doing this in class. So, I mean, there's a little bit of give and take here with this online learning thing. Does that make sense? Any questions on that?
No questions.
Okay, great. And thank you for the responses. I appreciate it. Okay, so this is what you're submitting. So you're going to submit at minimum an audio of your rap. So the audio version of your rap is in case I have to come back to it, if I didn't hear something very well, if I need to go back and get some clarification on something. This is also for my portfolio, right, as an employee demonstrating work that I do in the classroom, collecting assignments, that sort of thing. So I need at minimum an audio version of your rap. You do not have to do a video if you don't want to. You can do a video if you want to. There is, of course, extra credit involved if you do decide to do a video. But again, at minimum, an audio, okay? A digital copy of your lyrics, right? That reference page with at least 3 formatted references. So again, this is just a practice for you to learn how to write a reference page. Don't stress yourselves out over it, right? Just give yourself time to learn. That's what this is for. So remember that I'm more interested in effort than anything, okay? So try. That's how you get the points in this. You try, okay? And a copy of your current class registration. And again, that's just for my portfolio with demonstrating the work that I do. As part of the instruction in this is to bring a, to do a class that you're currently enrolled in. So that's just the verification portion of that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any
Yeah.
questions on that?
No.
Okay, great. So for the project submission, again, you're just send all of your stuff to me, all this right here. You can send this to me as an attachment, right? The day of your scheduled presentation. I will give you the option of, if you want to do your audio/video recording the same time as your presentation, you can do that too. That's fine.
So that's basically like free extra credit.
Kind of. If you do the video.
Okay.
If you do the video, yeah. You can look at it as free extra credit, sure. I like that. All right. And any other questions so far?
No.
Okay, great. So the grading rubric, as you can see, I did update it. So everything is accurate now on here. Out of 400 points total. And again, effort matters more than anything. Is if you have tried, if you can demonstrate that you're trying, that's all I care about, right? And I always say this, if the city girls can put something on a track, anybody can. They're not even on beat most of the time. They
That's
can't
facts.
find it, right? So what are you worried about? They over there making bank, can't find a beat to save their lives, right? So go ahead and have some fun. Why not? You might find out that you're actually good at this. You might uncover some things about you didn't know before. I've had that happen too. So just have some fun, okay? So 400 points total. 100 of those points is your presentation. So if you sound like you put some time in, right, I should be able to hear you, right? At least, like, if I can't hear every single word, right, it should at least sound like you put some time and some effort into it, right? You know the difference between when you put in the time and when you didn't, right? I hope, maybe. Or y'all think,
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm taking theater this year,
Mm-hmm,
and we have to do speeches.
mm-hmm.
You can clearly tell when people have and have not recited their speech over and over and over.
Right. Great example of that, right? And so you can tell the difference, we can tell the difference too, right? So my ask is that you put in at least a little bit of time into it, because again, this is supposed to be a study tool. So if you're not using it to study, then you're not getting the purpose out of the tool, right? All right, so content. So 100 points is the content. So it's about how thought out your lyrics are. This is another place where that schedule comes in handy for me, right? Being able to verify which class it is that you're studying for, right? The lyrics should clearly demonstrate that it's something for that class. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So again, they don't have to be overly complex, right? They don't have to be very difficult. They don't have to be long, right? They have to make sense. They have to be useful. The lyrics themselves, right? Did you give me that digital copy that I asked for so that I can have that visual aid while I'm listening to your performances, as well as go back to it if I need to during the grading process? And then if somebody else were to pick up these lyrics, is this useful for somebody else, right? If it's a study tool, then it can't just be useful for you, right? Somebody else should be able to use this too. So same way that you use like one textbook in a singular class, right? Well, you're using that one textbook because the content of that textbook is useful or considered useful for everyone in that class. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So even if that's not exactly the case 100% of the time, right? The majority of the time, you're going to be able to get more information out to more people, the more useful that content is. So think about that while you're doing your lyrics, right? Think about if you had a peer who's taking the same class as you, or maybe a peer who's going to take that class next semester. Could you hand them your rap and say, hey, I don't know if this will work for you, but here's something that I created as a study tool, right? That might be useful to somebody one day. So before I go, I'm going to come back to this because I want to show you where this project came from before we close out. So creativity, 60 points, that should be really simple, right? The whole project is a creative project. Those should be giveaway points. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So don't plagiarize. I've had people try this in the past. I don't know if y'all have figured this out, but I'm a little bit of a nerd. So I watch things that probably a lot of people don't, right? So I had someone who plagiarized a biology rap because they didn't think that I would know it. And I knew it instantly. And it was really embarrassing for that student, right? But more so, part of my job is to report these kinds of things. And y'all know I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to be a whistleblower in the classroom full of students of color who are already at a disadvantage, right? So don't put me in a difficult position either. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So put in the effort. It does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be Grammy level, right? It just needs to demonstrate that you were trying and that you tried something new. Time management is just about the time, right, that you are putting into the project, right? The 2 to 4 minutes. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but it's I lowered it to 3 for the last class. That was why. So I'll leave that in there for you. Look at that. You're getting a little break here. 3 to 8 minutes if you are working with another student. So if you are taking the same class as someone else, you can pair up, right? But you have to use more time, right? Because there's 2 of you. So I'm sure that there's 2 people's worth of information that you have to study in that class. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then about the project submission time, right? Did you submit your stuff when you were supposed to? And then finally, the references, right? Did you give me a properly formatted reference page? And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to demonstrate that you tried. A minimum of 3, you got your study material from somewhere. Where did you get it from? Give the credit where credit is due. And that is all on that project. So does that help? Does that make sense now?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's more clear now.
If the reference is like a video, like if our teacher posted a video of how to do the work, could we just copy the URL or something?
No, you have to put an actual reference in there. So there's
Okay.
ways for you to cite videos. So you'll have to learn how to do that.
Okay.
So a couple of years ago, I had come across this video. Isn't it coming up now? Hold on. Ugh, it's gonna make me go to YouTube. A couple years ago, I came across this video that I thought was super fucking creative and a really, really good way for folks to use hip hop as a study guide, right? As a tool. Here we go.
Why call two men in a truck? If you're like Kate, you're moving and you work hard. You've got lots of stuff, but no time to move it. You need pro.
First of all, can I just say that I love how the pros in it was a black guy? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Zuzi on the track.
The DNA starts to unwind. The RNA reads the other side. Meiosis is the key to making life. Mitosis copy cells about to die. If my genes go left unread, all my cells are dead. If my genes go left unread, all my cells are dead. If my genes go left unread, all my cells are dead. If my genes go left unread, unwind the DNA. Prep for mitosis happens in the interphase. Then we move to prophase. Spindles start to shape. Chromatids condense as the bubble breaks down. Yeah, I'm talking membrane. Metaphase chromatids meet at the heart. Anaphase chromatids are put apart. See the face forming a membrane will start. While the cell starts, the pins break apart. Cytokinesis, the cycle is through. That's when cytoplasm is split up in two. Meiosis is a lie, except it happens twice. And chromatids are spliced. Please remember the difference is key. Mitosis makes somatic cells. The cells that make up all of me. Separate my sex organs. The haploid cells take half of me. Yeah. The DNA starts to unwind. The RNA reads the other side. Meiosis is the key to making life. Mitosis copy cells about to die. All my cells are dead. If my genes go left unread, all my cells are dead. Yeah. If my genes go left unread, all my cells are dead. All my cells are dead. Apoptosis, make sure I don't spread. Mutations are results of genes misread. Transcription, RNA polymerase. Initiates, elongates, then terminates. Translate, ribosomal units. Need free amino acids just to do it. Chromosomes made of genes makes the colors of our eyes and gives us a widow's peak. Oh, meiosis gives us variation, so we're different people. Mitosis helps us grow and replace cells when they get evil. She said, I don't know how the cells divide and help you grow. The DNA starts to unwind. The RNA reads the other side. Meiosis is the key to making life. Mitosis copy cells about to die. If my genes go left unread, all my cells are dead. If my genes go left unread, all my cells are dead. If my genes go left unread, all my cells are dead. If my genes go left unread.
Okay. So you can see that the lyrics are really, really simple, right?
Yeah.
And you know the song that he used?
Yeah.
Right. So if you were to listen to this song 5 times, would you be able to pass a small quiz about DNA and RNA?
Yeah.
Most likely, right? So that makes it successful as a tool. That makes it a good study tool, right?
I had a question. So for our rap, can we use like note cards or something for to write like the lyrics down or remember them?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to memorize it. Yeah, you don't have to memorize it at all. Any other questions?
I don't have any.
All good on this?
Everything's more clear now.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm gonna stop this video and let it save so that I can upload it to YouTube and get the CCs on here. And then I'm gonna go live on band so you can see what that looks like. And I'm gonna just give you all the information again about the grading system, okay?
Okay.
There's a
Okay.
chat box that'll be available, so you'll see that,
All right.
okay? All right, I'll see you all in a second.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.